Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the panel on the topic Emerging VC Landscape in Norway. I have a very exciting panel with us representing two LPs from Norway and a recently established fund that you would meet very, very briefly. Quickly on me, my name is Virginia, Director of Programs at Start Norway, which means that I'm responsible for the competence programs we do for investors and startups in the ecosystem. We work a lot with the investment community, specifically with the business angels and the emerging managers, helping them raise their first fund on a program called VC Challenge that I would talk later on. Fun fact about me, I speak Persian and I'm in love with the Middle East. So I think with that, I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves. Maybe Rune, you want to start?
Yes, thank you, Virginia. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon from Oslo. And Virginia, thank you for inviting me. I'm Rune Holen, one of the four founding partners in the VC fund manager Idekapital here in Oslo. I'll go back to Idekapital in a few seconds, but prior to starting Idekapital in 2017, I had a career within investing and asset management. Most of the career was in the insurance group Storebrand, where I, together with two others, started a private equity program in the late 90s and built a portfolio of roughly 1.5 billion euros, a portfolio consisting of a combination of international fund investments and local direct growth investments. So that was my background before starting Idekapital, and that I, together with three others, launched in September 2017. And now the team consists of 5 partners and 2 investment managers, and the majority of the team has an entrepreneurial background, actually, and in combination with others with more traditional consulting, M&A, and asset management background. We invest in Norwegian software and software-enabled companies, targeting the B2B markets, focus on that, and companies with international potential and ambitions. We invest typically at a point where a company has like 5 to 15 million NOK in recurring revenue. So not a seed investing and not startup as such. So the commercial breakthrough, if you like, has happened before we invest. These days we now manage 2 funds, total assets under management of 1.4 billion NOK, meaning 140 million euros. And we have made 14 investments and 1 profitable exit. And the investors are predominantly Norwegian institutional investors, of which 2 are present in this panel.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rune. Yeah. Maybe Jan, you want to start briefly on you and Formuesforvaltning.
Thank you, Virginia. I'm heading the private equity program in Formuesforvaltning. I joined Formuesforvaltning more than 2 years ago, but prior to that, I worked 17 years for a shipping company or a family office in Oslo, bringing them out of shipping and into the investment space and investing in all kind of asset classes. Brought them into equities and credits, hedge funds, but mainly I spent time working in the private equity industry, seeding or being a cornerstone investor with Energy Ventures, cornerstone investors with Cubera, which is a secondary player here in Oslo, now a part of Storebrand, and also a cornerstone investor with DNB when they set up their first private equity fund of fund program back in 2007. and also served as a chairman for that vehicle for 10 years. And in addition, I made the early stage clean tech investment for the shipping companies. So I've been doing a quite diverse investment program prior to joining Formuesforvaltning. Formuesforvaltning and Burenstam and Partners, which is our brand in Sweden, is the largest privately owned wealth advisor in Norway and Sweden, managing some 100 billion NOK in all asset classes. 10% of it is within private equity, and we consider venture capital as a part of our private equity program. Fun fact, my main hobby is wine and food. And I think why am I mentioning wine and food? I think all hobbies generate network and knowledge to your professional career, and actually my interest for wine brought some concerns to the climate change, because I noticed that my day-to-day wine increased in alcohol content. And I mean, alcohol content is highly correlated to heating degree days. So when I started to investigate why, I understood that the climate change is actually the main driver for that journey.
Super interesting. Thank you so much, Jan. And last but not least, Ryan, would you like to please introduce yourself? Don't forget about the fun fact.
Yeah, thank you, Virginia, and hi everyone. I'm happy to be here and be invited to this panel. So my name is Ryan Housseini. I'm responsible today for the unlisted portfolio at Oslo Pension Fund, which is the pension fund of the municipality of Oslo. I've been working there for about 8 years now, and before that I worked a few years mostly as in corporate and investment banking at the BNP Paribas in Oslo. I moved 11 years ago to Norway. So very quickly about Oslo Pension Fund, OPF. So we are structured as a life insurance company, and we have about 115 billion in assets under management. Roughly 30% of that is in unlisted asset classes. So you could say 20% in real estate, mostly in Norwegian real estate. And then in my portfolio is foreign real estate, PE and venture capital, infrastructure, and private debt. PE and venture capital is about 3.5% as of today. And fun fact about me, I have to admit that before coming to Norway, I had no idea what cross-country skiing was. It's the first thing my boss told me to buy when I came to Norway, and I didn't know what he was talking about. So I had to ask the sport store what was cross-country skiing. So yes.
It's compulsory to do cross-country in Norway. Rune, we haven't heard your fun fact. Very quickly there.
And my fun fact is actually on skiing, because I haven't never told Ryan and I haven't told Virginia that I'm both a passionate skier, mostly cross country, but also ski touring and ski mountaineering. But I'm also a skiing instructor as a hobby, and I do that.
I need to call you.
You are hereby invited.
Thank you so much. The reason why we have emphasized it on the fun fact is that you guys know that LP fundraising, being a GP, is all about people's relationship. So I hope with that you feel we are much more relatable. We're going to jump into the topic of today, which is the emerging VC ecosystem in Norway. It is broadly known that Norway is lagging behind comparing to the other Nordic countries, but that is changing, and it's changing super quickly. So my first question I want to ask to the panelists today, to all of you guys, is what is your perspective on the existing Norwegian VC ecosystem? And if you could summarize a bit what has happened in the last years. Maybe we can start with you, Rune, that you have a very interesting perspective as you used to be an LP and now you are a GP.
Yeah, I can try to do a quick overview of the evolution, and it's a lot of interesting things that has happened. And going back 20 years ago, there wasn't really any traditional venture capital players in the Nordic arena. Even though Norway had a long but not well-known tradition from tech development. For example, the first GSM telephone was made in Norway. The first industrial robot came from Norway, and we were very early with fully automated bank payment clearing systems that has developed into Nets, the huge fintech company. We also developed groundbreaking video technology that Cisco acquired several years ago, etc. And we had a tradition for corporate venturing, the Schibsted Group, and not at least the oil and gas industry developed a lot of very interesting technology that we see fruits of today. But call it the first start, it came in the late 90s, where we had Nordsson that started as Norwegian. It was a purely Norwegian team from the beginning, and they had some early successes, but also early moved out and really became a European player rather than a Norwegian player. And that was due to more the deal flow in Norway was clearly too limited for them. Later, the scene was mostly dominated by family offices that were a bit on and off in the tech investing, I would say. But the real, call it modern restart happened, I would guess, 7-8 years ago, when a lot of things happened simultaneously. We got Startup Lab and all the other incubators, accelerators in Oslo, but also in Trondheim and in Bergen, TTOs among the universities, Innovation Norway, the tax incentives. We got Investinor as a state-owned growth capital investor, etc. So from then on, a lot of things have happened, and not very many companies have been started. And today, I think we have a good early stage ecosystem, but we can see still a funding gap where these early and seed companies need to be financed for scaling and growing.
Rune, we're going to leave it
Sorry.
there. I want to give the opportunity maybe Ryan to complement a bit on your perspective on the ecosystem.
Yes, thanks, Virginia. Yes, so for us, we've seen what Rune has described, and that's the reason why we seeded Idekapital back in 2017. We saw that there was a lack of capital, you could say, above the seed phase and in between basically the seed phase and the late stage. But just if you just go back, you could say that the Norwegian VC ecosystem has actually very good fundamentals, because you have Norway, which has a good macro story. You have a highly educated population. You have stable political foundations. You have a highly digitalization within the society, and also it's highly accepted. So, and in addition, because the Norwegian market is so small, the Norwegian startups develop a business model which is already from the start turned towards the international area. So it's often you have very highly scalable business models, which sets very good and interesting basis for a VC investment. And then in addition, but what we could say is Norway has been lagging behind Sweden and Finland in terms of VC investing, capital, exits, etc. And so I think that the last years we have make up a part of that gap, but I think it's still some way to go. But it's definitely been much better in terms of both manager, capital invested, highly educated people choosing to work in startups, etc.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Jan, do you want to complement some words and also your perspective of the exciting things happening in the ecosystem?
Sure. If I just bring some flavors from the family office side in Norway, since that's my background. I mean, what kind of industries have we been traditionally investing our capital? It's oil and gas, it's in shipping, it's in sea farming, it's real estate. Some of it is reason from taxes that you have had beneficial taxation for real estate. You have had a super return in shipping and in oil and gas, and I guess that has flavored the venture capital side in Norway, and the way we have built our competencies that changed in steps. And I think one of the catalysts was actually the oil price crisis in 2014, and actually the second oil price crisis, because we had the same one in 2008. So that brought a lot of competence out of the oil and gas industry, being founders into the tech space. That has happened simultaneously with good exits from other tech companies in Norway. So we have what could we say? We have a perfect storm: successful exits and the traditional some troubles in traditional industries in Norway, and that brought a lot of seed investing in Norway. We have been doing that for a couple of years. Startup Lab was mentioned. I think that has been a good catalyst. And now we are striving with all these great ideas and the lack of capital that Rune is talking about, and I think that has brought up a lot of new environments, new venture capital funds emerging on the agenda. And if I may add, because in general I have one issue with private equity, and we can see it on the panel here. It's male dominant. It's dominated by 40 and 50-year-old males. What I see on the horizon in Norway is that we have several funds headed by women, and I think that's very important. And Rune knows me. I'm always begging him to bring on diversity to his team, because I think that brings some competitive edge. But it's I think we are better placed in Norway than in mainland continental Europe, because we can build that society, that diverse society from the start.
Thank you so much, Jan. So we've touched on different topics. We talk about talent, about the progress we've been doing on diversity, about more capital than ever in the ecosystem, LP's attention into VC as an asset class. There was an important element that we wanted to highlight as a part of this panel, which is the deal flow coming from Norway. And Jan, you actually have some slides that you would like to share with us. Do you mind sharing screen and showing us some insights on the deal flow coming from Norway? You're muted.
Yeah, this is we have a French growth manager in our portfolio called Jolt, and they have an incredible digital sourcing tool, and they follow, I think it's close to 1 million companies worldwide now. And 2 years ago, or 1.5 years ago, they tried to categorize their deal funnel in Europe. And what you see in the blue bars here is the share of deal flow from different countries. And as you can see here, in the Nordics, 10% of their deals come from the Nordics. But if they look into the quality of their deal flow, close to 17% of it comes from the Nordics. So the kind of companies they are looking for, they can find it in the Nordics. And if we look at Norway in general, here you can see the composition of their deal flow. Close to 30% of the deal flow in Norway is software. 18% is marketing, and 12% is artificial intelligence. And I mean, these are the driving forces of the transformation we are doing all across the world. And you find the business ideas in Norway. And of course, when you see this, you get a lot of attention. So I think Rune is very happy sitting in this sweet spot of great investment opportunities.
Mm. Yeah, if I may continue on that, yeah, the chart you're showing is very interesting and very much in line with what we experience. It is exactly the areas you show there: software, call it various marketing software, IoT, etc. And I think sort of some of it comes from the fact that Norway has probably the highest low-paid workers in the world. So making businesses more efficient is something that is very highly valued in Norway. So it is a good place to start a business and to find early mover customers. It is sort of a good cradle to bring up a business, but unfortunately the home market is so small. So you need to go international, and that is the only way to grow. So therefore, internationalization is the key.
It is.
If I may add, because this French manager was quite surprised that the AI was so high on the agenda in Norway, but I'm not surprised. If you look at some of the companies that you will find there, you have Bing, which is the search engine of Microsoft, and even more. Mm. Actually, that's a Norwegian company. That's Fast Search and Transfer. So they sit several hundred people in the city center of Oslo working on Bing.com. It's quite important. We have Visma, which is the fourth largest SaaS company in Norway. It's headquartered just a couple of hundred meters from where I'm sitting now. And they are obviously using a lot of AI into their systems. So we have a lot of competence in these areas.
Thank you so much, Jan. Ryan, or no? So guys, I think unfortunately we need to close this panel. But I want to ask you a quick question. If Arctic 15 give us 2 minutes, can you summarize very briefly, each of you, where do you think the VC ecosystem in Norway is going moving forward? Ryan, let's start with you.
30 seconds each, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, just very quickly, I think it will continue and it will actually accelerate because we are at the beginning of a wave of successful exits, plus successful entrepreneurs starting again a venture or supporting existing ventures. And also the fact that Norway has established clusters, sector clusters. So I think that the ecosystem is actually will be very interesting going forward within the next years.
Thank you, Ryan. Rune, quickly on you.
I think sort of we will have more of everything, more LPs, including international LPs. We will have more GPs. So and more interesting companies.
Thank you. Yeah, and Jan, finally you.
Yeah, I think we are in a great circle here now. I mean, we have had the successful exits that are necessary to build the ecosystem. We have the successful, or they become founders or angel investors. You have the local VC funds that are evolving, and then you gain the interest from global VC funds, and then you have the circle is going.
Right.
And it will continue, and it will continue. So I think this is it's a very interesting environment sitting in the midst of.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Arctic 15, for having us, and
Yeah.
hope to see you soon all into the Norwegian startup ecosystem.